Ladies and gentlemen, some Angry Nation podcast. Welcome to it. All right. So as you see, it's just me. And so I'm trying to advertise this at the same time I'm talking. So forgive me for just a second. There's the live stream, posting it on the Twitters. And the site itself, doing it here. All right. Folks, let's talk about everything that happened. It's a good day. It's an amazing day. We have, what is it? What's the best way to put this thing? It's a good fight song day, you know? Going into the Temple game, it was this position, our position. And now, right now, you're just looking at me because there's no Aldo. He's busy with his family and stuff. As I am here with you, you know. So who's the real dedicated kind of guy, you know? If you look at Temple, you know that they're terrible, right? If you took any passing interest in the Temple Owls this season, you know that they were awful. You know that North Texas should have, could have, would have beat them if they were any kind of normal. We'll say that. And that was the problem for us coming into this thing is, would we be normal, right? Would we be the team that we thought of? And, you know, you can also make the argument that you don't really know what this team's going to be ever. And you know, like a team like this, like North Texas has been, is hot and cold, right? Sort of lukewarm. And so, what is the real team, right? Is North Texas the team that looked good against South Alabama, or are they the team that barely squeaked out a game against Temple? And the answer to that is, of course, the unsatisfactory. They are both, right? It's both teams. It's the same squad, same dudes, same coaches, except one, but same squad overall. And, you know, North Texas is going to be frustrating. They are frustrating. You go up 21-0 last week and you drop that game. You lose right to Eastern Carolina. You go up 24-3 in this one in the early second quarter, right at the end of the first, it was 17-3. Looks like North Texas is going to control this game easily, right? It was as expected. Like I said, if you thought we're the good North Texas, North Texas the good witch, not the bad witch. You know, move the ball easily. Defense gets stops against the worst offense in the league, and they walk down the field and score some touchdowns, right? We saw DT Sheffield get a 14-yard pass. You know, everything looked good again. There was a stall out there where Nguma had to kick a field goal, but we're like, okay, fine, right? Go down again and score a 39-yard touchdown. So we have the big play drive. We also have the 8-play, 75-yard drive. So we could do both. Looks good. And, I think there was the next one, it was a 51-yard rush by Mackenzie McGill. Shout out Mackenzie McGill. Has 11 scores on the season. Guy's a touchdown machine. But But after that was it. There was no more scoring after the second quarter. If you just watch the first half, not even the first half, the first quarter plus, 8 seconds, and you went to go drink eggnog or put up the Christmas tree lights or do whatever you had to do, that would have been it. You would have been fine. You didn't have to do anything else because that was all the scoring for North Texas the rest of the way. Temple did get some scoring in the second quarter. They had a little meaning of the second half was the offense getting down the field and missing a field goal. Right, that was it, and that was helped by a DT Sheffield appearance. It was nice to see him catch the ball again. But the pass game for North Texas, it was pretty mediocre. I'm looking at the numbers. Yeah, I want to say these right. 21 of 40 for 180 yards and 1 score. If that's not like some 1973 pass, stats, I don't know what is. I suppose it would have been better to be like, 10 of 25 for 300 yards or something like that. That would have been full on 1975. The point is that we couldn't throw the ball, and it was a combination of things, on the one hand you had some terrible decision making, and I think Eric Morris is sort of sided on the Chandler Morris side. It's like, you was throwing it to the right guy, the receivers are in the wrong route, whatever. Well, it's all bad pass game stuff. It was evident in the first quarter when what's his face, Ward Jr. there. He did a little slant pattern, and it looked like Chandler Morris is throwing like a stop route or something. I mean, I don't know if that's not emblematic of the entire failures of the pass game this season. And I say that in the context of a very good pass game, right? Chandler Morris is like one long pass away from setting the record for most pass yards in the season, right? I think he's like 1 or 2 touchdowns away from setting the touchdown record. And I think both of these are in fewer games than both Mason Fine and Austin Aune had to do it in, right? Both of those guys had a championship game to I don't want to say pad their stats, but to compete. And Chandler Morris will not be competing in a championship game. So, very good pass game, right? But in that context, yeah, these have been poor. The last half of the season, it's been poor. You know it, I know it. When you throw the ball 45 times a game, you're going to make some mistakes. However, that said, that acknowledged, right? What we have is a squad that's still working on some things, right? Miles Coleman, the freshman, he's at the end of his freshman season, so he's not so much a freshman anymore. Eight catches on 12 targets, right? 32 yards, and that's because he's dinking and dunking all the way down the field, right? That's the plan for him. Throw that little screen pass, throw a little arc pass, little bubble screen, right? Where he gets it, has a couple blockers, and is supposed to make a play. When he did that against Memphis, and I think early in the season, he showed some things. Right? Oh, look at that guy; he's pretty fast. Let's get him the ball a little bit more. Sort of taken some of DT Sheffield's routes in some of those, but DT Sheffield still had the same bubble screen, same kind of thing. I think what stands out when you look at the pass, the reception, and the production there is like a lot of short passes, not a lot of yak yards. Like Coleman had 41 yards of yak, yards after catch, but he only had 32 yards total, which tells you that obviously he was catching the ball behind the line of scrimmage and then having to make a play, right? Same thing with DT Sheffield. 47 total yards, 24 yak yards, right? We want a lot of yak. Right? More yak, please. It's not happening. Is it blocks? Sometimes it's blocks. You can see it. I can see it. Sometimes it's bad reads. I think Coleman was not necessarily cutting it up when he needed to do it. All told, you're just not a whole lot there, right? Laying insides, 1 catch, 23 yards. It was nice. He has usually one of those per game. Didn't see, who am I thinking of? 27. Wyatt Young. I didn't really see him do too much. He's not on the stat sheet. I don't know if he even played. I mean, overall, the whole thing was just, you could see people online tweeting, posting, chatting, Instagramming. What are we doing? What are these play calls? Why are we screening them to death? Why are we throwing 1,000 screens? Does Eric Morris get paid by the screen? I wrote this in the Texas Tech preview, that the same complaints about Baron Morton and the Texas Tech offense were being made then. You can see what our plan is, right? We want to throw these screens. We want to get you stepping up and then throw it over the top, right? Screen, and then either throw a screen back the other way or throw it over the top. Now, the problem is that we're not doing well enough on these screens to make it worth anybody's while, right? And then we're definitely not getting any distance downfield. We're not creating space. Like, I don't want to sound like I'm defending the coach all the time, but I don't know what play call is gonna fix everything, right? The most effective play, you saw it, I saw it, was hand the ball off to Mackenzie McGill. So I was a run the ball kind of, I don't want to say truther, but I was full on team run the damn ball at a certain point. And I love the air raid. I think it's a super effective offense, and a lot of aspects of it have won Super Bowls now, right? But the takeaway here is that I don't know that anything was working, right? We couldn't defend the quarterback. We couldn't do pass protection on Chandler Morris there for a little bit, where it looked like he's doing a little quick drop back and he's getting hit. They're coming behind him. They're hitting the ball. All right, so we can't trust that. So are we going to dial up a throw it deep kind of play, something where it needs to develop downfield if we can't protect Chandler Morris? Also, you listen to Morris, the quarterback, in the post game. He was like, yeah, they were dropping guys deep and they were leaving the underneath stuff open. And so we just had to make some plays that way. That was also true. And, you can't necessarily trust a quarterback because he was trying to fit some things in there that shouldn't be fit in there. He nearly threw an interception in the first quarter, right? So, okay, can't trust that. Can't trust the quarterback to throw it. Can't trust the pass protection to pass protect. What do we just, dink and dunk down the field? Okay, but that's not working, as we said. Screens are not necessarily working. The quarterback's a little bit off. Guys are not catching the passes, or they're not making plays after the catch, right? We're not getting blocks. Okay, so what do we do? Let's hand the ball off, right? We did that versus UTSA. Let's get Shane Porter. Let's get him loose in the secondary. Let's get Mackenzie McGill running over some dudes. In this game, it was Mackenzie McGill, 14 carries, 160 yards. That was the positive. He lost 5, so the net was 155. I hate the way they show it this way. I knew it was 155. 2 scores. I mentioned them both, right? 39 yards and a 51-yarder. He averaged 11.1 yards a pop. And maybe you're thinking, oh, yeah, why didn't we give him the ball more? Well, the one time we gave him the ball again, and then he fumbles right down the field. Okay, right. Can Kiefer Sibley do the same thing? A little bit, 4.6 yards per carry. Shane Porter only managed 3.3. If you've watched this team and you don't just watch the highlights, you know that it's a lot of it's home runs and strikeouts, right? 1 yard loss, 2 yard loss, 9 yard gain, 51-yard run. So that's all great. Let me get my water right quick. It's all well and good. We like that, right? We like scoring touchdowns. And overall, yeah, you did gain 51 yards. I'm not knocking you. I'm doing a Eric Morris over here with this water bottle. Sorry, I'm talking so much, You gotta do it, and I understand him a little bit. Just gotta be better. So, what is it? I think it was Brandon Young, right? That he was getting kind of called out there, missing some blocks, tight end. But you look at why he's playing, right? He's not. Ideally, you wouldn't want so many young dudes playing because they make young dude type mistakes, right? They miss blocks. They are slow on reading a play. They're slow on diagnosing a play. They don't have the greatest technique all the time, right? It's like 70, 80% of the time if you're lucky. And So they need a lot of coaching. So you can't do a lot of things that you want to do, right? Because again, you have a young guy out there. So Brandon Young kind of struggled. He missed some blocks. They had to keep it real basic, where you knew he was going to come over, and they're going to run a little inside zone, right? And that worked sometimes, right? Big yards, and it did not work a lot of other times, right? Eventually, Temple keyed on something like that. Anything close to that, the runs were gobbled up. I said, just keep running the ball, man. Just keep running it, even if it looks like there's nothing there, because I think that's the only thing that showed that you're gonna do anything kind of well. That those are the ones that were popping, right, every once in a while. And even if you had diminishing returns, you can scold McGill a little bit, say to stop fumbling the ball, kid. But again, you're talking to a preferred walk-on there, right? You're just getting deep into guys that are going to make mistakes because they were young and not necessarily ready for these kinds of repetitions, right? So the offense is a shell of itself, right? Damon Ward, I think one stood out. Chandler Morris is dropping back, and he's looking right, and he's throwing a stop route. And I don't know if it was a design stop route. It's probably not, right? The modern-day air raid offense just basically has options built in, right? Instead of running like, all right, this one's going to be 6, you just try to get deep. Or, hey, we're going to run a stop route, right? You're going to run, fake like you're going, stop, turn around, I'm going to throw it to you. You run basically read routes, They're all built into the play. So they call 6, and everybody's going deep. And then you turn and you read the defender, right? If he's even with you, you keep going. Or I think it's if you're even, they throw it to the back of your head, right? They throw it to your head. So that way you turn around and it's right there, back shoulder basically. And right, we tried to do that, but like Damon Ward slipped or something and the ball went by him. He would have been open. It would have been a catch. There was another one, same kind of thing, throw it to him. He slipped. And it looked like, at first glance, Chandler Morris threw it like 5 yards short. I still think it would have been short, but the effect was magnified because Damon Ward slipped. He was targeted 6 times and he caught 1 pass. Right? There's a lot of opportunity left in this pass game, and hopefully 2 weeks, a week and a half. I think the first bowl games are like December 17th. And I think we're going to probably be in one of those early ones, like the Frisco Bowl or the Surf Pro First Responders Bowl, whatever it's called. A couple weeks to sort of heal up, to fix some things, to design some new plays, maybe practice some new plays, rep some new things, because they need it, definitely. Right now, everybody's struggling. And it also probably didn't help that it was cold. But, it might still be cold in Frisco on the 17th of December. But I feel like I'm talking like we lost, right? We won. 24-17. The defense stepped up. And I know why it feels like we lost, right? Because it's Temple, right? Held them scoreless in the second half, but that's sort of expected, right? Because Temple is the worst offensive team in the league. Held them to 100 yards rushing total, 2.7 yards per carry. That was the entire rushing attack for Temple. I don't think that they went anywhere. They did too much that was dangerous. We allowed Evan Simon to throw for 268, which is not crazy, but if you came up in like the 90s or something, you're like 250 yards passing. That's a lot. But he threw the ball 44 times. Again, he was missing dudes. We brought some pressure, and there was a couple times where he actually, he found the outlet. He threw a great on-time, on-target pass and got out of trouble. But for the most part, North Texas did a good job of containing him, bringing pressure, and getting to him a couple times when it mattered. I think some of that was Jake Shipley doing a great job. You look at Odom's defense, it's basically a 3-4 defense. He has Shipley instead of with his hand down in the dirt as part of the 3-man line. He has him as a jack linebacker. Now, that is a difference from Capone's 3-4 defense, right? Like Capone liked Shipley on the line, and then he liked more true linebackers behind him, or even when they went to the 3-4, Shipley was a lineman, and our jack kind of dude was Witter or 36. We had 36, 32, and 8 or 24 on the field. With this group, we have Shipley 9 out as a jack linebacker. Now, what that does is kind of make him a fourth man, right? He's basically we're running a 4-man front, right? Because Shipley, even though he's a hybrid type dude, he's best doing a pass rush. And I can't remember everybody else they have on there, but we're basically in a 4-3, right? For everybody, we just need 4 guys. That's basically it. Now, occasionally, Shipley would drop back and, get into space, but that's not his strength, right? If you have any kind of pass protection, all right, we're going to ID 9 and we're going to assume he's rushing. And if for some reason he drops into space, we're not going to worry too hard about him covering any 1 through 4 of our best guys, right? You just got to be there. Don't throw it right at him, and you'll be all right. That's the scouting report on him. But he's great attacking. I think he got a sack in this one, or close to one. I can't remember off the top of my head. I guess I could browse for the stats here. Fun fact: I don't think we started DT Sheffield. No, we went with we had Damon Ward, Blair Conright, Miles Coleman got the start. Shout out to Miles Coleman, and Landon Sides. Interesting. Looking for our defense here. No, see it lists Shipley as a lineman. He is a lineman, but we had our starters: Breland Charles, another guy hasn't played a ton. Terrell Dawkins, Rod Brown, Jake Shipley, listed as a guy. Chavez Brown, right, number 24. Jalen Smith, number 36. And then Jordan Brown, number 8. So our fourth linebacker type dude was Jake Shipley. And then he's basically taking place of Witter in that scheme that we had previously. Anyway, long story short, the defense was fine. Solid. Against a team that's not very good. If you're looking did we hold them under their season averages? I mean, I don't letting them get 17 at all. The 2 scores in the second quarter were a little disappointing. I think one of them was a busted play. We kind of let them move the ball a little bit more than I'd like, but overall, we got 2 stops late in the game. That last drive, we almost had a interception that would have sealed it, right? Brian Nelson, but then he finally got the interception 2 plays later, 3 plays later, whatever it was. The defense won the game for us, right? And they did what was expected against Temple. Hey, the worst team in the league, hold them under 20, and then get the same game-sealing interception. Did you do that? Can you do that? Yes, they did. Offense, the worst defense in the nation in the league. Can you score 30 or 40? No. Score 24. You're unimpressed. I'm unimpressed. We're unimpressed. But we're going bowling. I think there's a little bit, I tweeted this too, right? Is that at the end of the season, you have to allow for some weirdness. It happens every time. And I haven't watched a lot of Temple football, on their own ESPN Plus broadcasts and whatnot. So I don't know if their broadcast, production team, their director and all that know who the coaches are or what they look like. But I know that when we were there, they didn't know that Eric Morris looks like Eric Morris. They thought he looked like the assistant tight end coach. Looks like, what's his name? Preston or something like that. That dude. I was going through the coach's headshots, why, who, what. Apparently that guy has a head coach type look, right? So sometime in the future, when he becomes a head coach, I don't know, man, you just kind of fit the mold. You just look like a head coach. That's true, at least to the Temple Owls, because they thought so. For the whole first half, they were showing him as the dude, as he's walking around. He didn't have his headset down because he's not really the coach. He has it up because they don't really want the assistant tight end coach talking when everybody else is talking and saying things on the channel, right? He's just there listening. So at halftime, when they interviewed Eric Morris, the sideline reporter, I was half hoping that they try to talk to the assistant tight end coach, and I'd love to hear some behind the scenes, to hear the see if they really tried to do that, because that would have been hilarious. Hey Eric, be like, what? Yes, he's like gathering up water bottles or something. So that was bad. End of season stuff, right? After Thanksgiving, all these games are weird. Georgia Tech almost beat Georgia. Really should have beat Georgia. I think if you're a conspiracy theorist, weird stuff happens at this time. I think remember we lost to UTEP that one time when UTEP was very terrible. Stuff like that, bad stuff. So I think really what these post Thanksgiving Day games are about is finding some grit, finding a way to win, dealing with adversity, right? To reuse and overuse cliche, but that's what it is, right? In a season, everybody's hurt. Everybody's feeling pain. It's colder, right? It's definitely colder. Like here at MGN HQ, it's snowing outside, right? So I'm wearing this. I came in from walking the dog. That's why we started late on the show. The whole deal. Everything's weird, right? There's a lot of changes. Can you do what you normally do? Can you make a play? Can you stick to it? Can you do this? Can you do that? And all the stuff, right, that you think is difficult, right? That you think is part of football, right? Make a play, right? Make it happen. Find something. Give it to the preferred walk-on. Let them go run for 150 yards, 160 yards. North Texas found a way to win. That's what's good, right? I'm glad it was a Temple, not a better team. And I think a better team would have had more depth, more talent, and they would have made some plays, right? Temple's bad. They fired their coach. Everett Withers, former Texas State dude, is their guy now. I don't know that they're going anywhere. I don't know if Temple's ever a team to worry about. They had a brief dalliance with relevance when they had Matt Rule as a head coach, right? After that, not good. Temple's not really a team we got to worry about in the AAC long term. Now, they may jump up and bite us or something like that, but like a Florida Atlantic, you're always kind of worried about them because they have a lot of access to talent, right? And they can easily level up, just like they did when they had Lane Kiffin, right? Just suddenly flush with NFL talent, right? They had like 3 dudes from the offense go to the NFL. It was like the tight end, obviously the running back, and like I think a receiver or something like that. And the linebackers, it's been playing for the 49ers for a long time. They can quickly level up and be very good. Temple, a lot harder to do that there. I'm sort of concerned about them in basketball. They have a basketball tradition, but football-wise, I remember they got kicked out of like the Big East, like 20 years ago. They're like, all right, it's enough, Temple. You're just too terrible. Get out of here. All right, what else to talk about as we wrap this up? We're going bowling. I mentioned that. That's good. I'm looking for this. Yeah, where is this guy? Sorry, I'm looking for my notes here. Bowling, 6 win after what was it? 5-6 weeks. You could see the relief on Eric Morris's face. I think Greg, friend of the show, tweeted, "Oh yeah, it's not necessarily guaranteed." That's Conference USA thinking, son. Here in the AAC, we have 8 bowl tie-ins, 8 eligible teams. North Texas is bowling. Now, are they going to go to somewhere great? The unfortunate thing is, some of the places, some of the bowls that Conference USA had ties to previously are the same ones, right? Like I said, the First Responder Bowl, that's the old Heart of Dallas Bowl. It's the one North Texas went to in what, 2013, right, when they last won. And then there's the Frisco Bowl. That's still an option. I think for the chances to get North Texas people out someplace are greater if it's the Frisco Bowl or something like that. We've been in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. That's one that's an option. Been to the New Mexico Bowl. That's another that's an option. And like I said, you've been there in the last decade, right? Seth Luttrell took us to those. And I mean, to kind of counter Vito a little bit, because he's been tweeting and defending the Luttrell era, and I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, it's the same as Seth Luttrell." I'm just gonna say, yes, it was great to get to those bowls, right? It was good. However, the problem was that every time North Texas got on the national stage, they'd get embarrassed, right? If you look at those, every one of those bowl appearances are either the worst or near the worst performance by any team in that bowl game, right? The worst loss in Myrtle Beach Bowl history was North Texas losing to App State. The worst loss in New Mexico Bowl history was North Texas losing to Utah State. The worst loss in New Orleans Bowl history was like North Texas losing to Troy. So, yeah, it's great to get to some of these ones, but I don't want to be the worst loss in the history of the bowl, right? Like, hey, come out to the bowl, watch us, get stomped in a way no one has ever got stomped before. It's not something you can build a program and build excitement around. And that's the reason why Seth Luttrell was fired, right? It's one thing to go to bowl games. It's one thing to even lose them close, right? You kind of feel like, oh, it's bad luck or something. But, App State ran for like 400 yards in that game. Utah State, ran for 200-300 yards, whatever it was. And then Mason Fine was injured in that game. You can sort of forgive that. The Troy one, it exposed the weakness of the offensive line because Troy's defensive line just walked in there and hurt Mason Fine. A lot of the same stuff, right? Like it's we don't know what Eric Morris is going to produce yet, and we have to give him a little benefit of the doubt. This is going to be his first bowl game. I'm not super excited about it based on the performance of the squad against Tulane, against Army, against Memphis a little bit, and then definitely the UTSA game. I was most disappointed about the UTSA and ECU games, right? Those were ones that were definitely winnable, and then, we saw the performance. And so, again, you look at this Temple win, there's a lot of the same things there, and a lot of it is just Temple's not that good, and it couldn't capitalize, right? It looked a lot like the East Carolina game, right? 21 points up, and then boom, 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 it's over. Almost 40 straight points, right? 40 points. This is like 40 to 7. I think ends up being the flip of it. So, I don't know. Can they get that figured out in 2 weeks? Yeah. I mean, you only got to beat the one team. That's it, right? You don't have to. You can game plan for the one squad. I'm interested to see how Eric Morris can game plan for one squad, right? One game. It's important if you want to get to the next level, right? If you want to be like Army and Tulane in the AAC championship game, you're gonna have to game plan for a game. And then if you have crazy designs on the future, and you're like, oh yeah, college football playoff, son, that's where we want to be. You're definitely gonna need to game plan for one team, right? You definitely need to be special and figure out a way to beat a team that has more solutions, right? That has more depth, has good coaches, that has more resources, maybe more GAs and stuff, right? You're gonna have to figure it out. So this is a taste of that, right? I think for everybody else, it's like, oh, same old North Texas. It's not. It's a different North Texas, right? It's a new coach, new players, all the other thing. It's a new bowl. It's a new chance. And I think you can make the argument that it's a new era, sort of, right? I don't think that this team is as good as the 2013 bowl winning Hart Dallas Bowl team. Like that team was good, and they had a great defense, a good running game, and a good enough quarterback. Right? as Mason White Barbo was saying, yeah, like the curse of Derek Thompson's last bowl winning quarterback for North Texas, right? You can point to Mason Fine and say, oh, this guy is the greatest quarterback in North Texas history, right? In terms of stats and what he's done in the field. Yeah, he didn't win a bowl game though, right? He didn't win a postseason game, and nothing that was scheduled did he win. And Osnani had a single season thing. He took him to a championship game. He lost. Bowl game, lost. So, Jalen Morris, he's only going to have the 1 or 2 seasons. We don't know about the future, right? But we know this season is all they'll have, guaranteed. And, he might have the greatest single season in North Texas history, passing-wise. But he can cap it with a bowl win, right? And reach those Derek Thompson levels, right? So, there you go. Yeah, I don't really have much more on that. I do want to talk a little bit about the Hoop Squad. I didn't do a post-game Hoop one because I had to go play rec league sports. But I'll say that, like, Utah State, I'm starting to hate Utah State. Again, they beat us in that bowl game. And then, obviously, they got this win in this one. But I thought overall it was a good Thanksgiving holiday performance by the basketball squad. They had a dominating win over Northern Iowa, a solid squad, good program, and they played Utah State close the whole game. And you could even point to a couple things where, like, hey, we got to get better shooting on back-to-backs. We got to improve that. We got to, I don't know, whatever it is mentally or even physically about that aspect of our game. We've seen it. We know what it's like. We know that sometimes your legs are going to be heavier and the shots are not going to fall as easily. And so you make adjustments the way you can. It's good to have these tournaments for that reason because when it matters in March and you need to still be able to shoot, keep your form, all that other good stuff, you'll have had seen it just a little bit before, right? So that's the purpose of these preseason tournaments. It gets you ready to play the back-to-backs. But North Texas looks good. I really like the way they compete. They battle defensively. It's great to see. They kill any run with effort, right? You see them, they make a stupid turnover, a guy over dribbling, a weak pass. You even saw it against Utah State, right? They're a little stagnant and kind of just doing a square pass. Those are easily stolen, right? You want to be aggressive and have some snap. They're like, maybe you haven't steal. But especially in the first half, they kind of got looser in the second. They get back. They run back. They contest everything. No easy layups. No easy dribbles. No easy shots. No easy, three-point shots. Everything is something you have to work for against the North Texas squad, and that's good. I love to see that. And it all leads to easy buckets. I think this team is one of the better fast breaking teams that I've seen on the North Texas basketball squad since the Ryan Woolridge days when he was basically a one-man fast break. And, like what you like about like Aiden Wright, is it Aiden Wright? Aiden Wright, whatever. Is that he's getting a lot more comfortable. I think he got super comfortable in the last 2 days. That was great to see. Is that he's pulling up for three, transition. I think he had 18 points and then 17 points the next game. He looks comfortable pulling up in transition, attacking the rim, finding some mid-range. I would like to see him, because I think he has the game for it, be the kind of guy that says, I'm going to be the number one guy. I'm going to be the leading scorer. And you have Giselle and you have Jasper Floyd kind of compliment him. But, I mean, hey, if those other guys want to make a case for being the number one dude and then Aiden Wright and the other guys kind of fall into the Robin role, I'm fine with that too. You just need somebody to say, look, I want the ball in these big moments. I think we have three dudes that can do that kind of thing, and that makes me excited. That's really what I'm hyped about. Long term with the basketball squad. It was, obviously you'd like to win the NIT tip-off, but whatever. I think they put in a good showing, and, they opened up some eyes. I think people got to see, like, people that make these kinds of decisions for the postseason, they got to see what North Texas has, and they're like, okay, they're a good team. We can, we can consider them when they go play a Memphis or something like that. If they get a result that stands out, we know that that's not a fluke, right? And I think that matters in those decisions. Again, at the end of the season, there's still the regular season to play. I don't like putting all our faith in the selection committee or anything like that. What we need to do is win the league. The regular season, win the league, and the tournament. And I think Memphis is definitely the team to beat. Right? They look very good. They look very talented. But North Texas gives themselves a chance by playing hard defensively. Right? You make up a lot of ground doing that. And that's what I'm excited about. The basketball team is still very good. The offense is getting a little bit better. There were some sequences where they, when it's bad, because basketball is a flow game, right? And it's like finding the rhythm. Like, oh, it's doing great, and then sometimes okay, it's not, and then it gets back to great, and you try to hold on to those moments, but then they're fleeting, right? Because it's 5 guys, 6 guys, 8 guys even, all moving like on the same wavelength, right? It's sort of a dance, and so it can kind of mess up. But when it's flowing, it's very beautiful to watch. There's a couple times when we stole the ball, we're getting down, and like Northern Iowa or Utah State were pressuring, and they're moving the ball, pass, and then the guy who first brought the ball down was wide open for a great shot. Because he could have came down and jacked the 3, but instead he made a pass, and then he got an even better shot right at the end of the shot clock. That's great to see. It's demoralizing to the other team, right? Because you're playing defense, great defense. You're hustling, you're moving across the court, shuffling, closing out the way you're supposed to, and then the guy is wider open than he should have been, right? And so you get tired. 1, you're tired from doing all that shuffling, and 2, you're upset that the guy got wide open. But that's great basketball. There's a lot of instances of that. I love that, Sissoko looks more mobile, right? I think he, I don't know what was up with him last season, but I think he has, he just looks bouncier, more spry. He's able to finish on some lobs sometimes. He looks stronger in the post against some solid defenders in there. I love Brendan Lorient just flying, dunking on people. I like Massey. He's sort of a hybrid there. He can kind of bring some physicality, attacking the rim. I think somebody tweeted that we look more aggressive across the board, attacking the rim, and I definitely like to see that. You need that as a balance. Just like all basketball, you need some aggression sometimes, right? You need some conservative, take what they give you, and then also, you know what, I'm gonna go take this, even though you're not giving it to me, right? Now you can't stop me from taking it. You need that. You need that balance. Here's a 3 that you think, oh, I'm covered. I'm not covered because I'm gonna take it in your eye, and then it just changes the game. And also the same thing, like I'm gonna go dunk on you, even though you have a few guys in the paint. Who cares, right? Who cares? You can't stop me. You need that, right? That changes the whole thing. Basketball is a physical sport. It's not a non-contact sport. It's a physical sport, and sometimes you got to exert your will, your physicality. We have the strength, we have the length, and we also have speed. We have enough. We're not the fastest, strongest, or biggest, but I think we have enough of that to do some damage, and that's what I like to see. It's great. Again, this basketball team, this basketball program is built around defense and effort and playing smart basketball, and I like to see it, right? So those are my thoughts on the hoop one. I think we're about to wrap this up in a second. I'm getting text that suggests that I'm needed elsewhere. Thanks for listening. I know it was kind of late in the live one. It's snowing here at MGN HQ, and I had to help the kids take the dogs for a walk, make sure everybody has their gloves on, and nobody's gonna run on the icy steps and stuff, and the dogs don't freeze to death. They're little tiny dogs, so all that we got a slow start. But thanks for listening. Aldo couldn't make it today. He had family things going on. Like I said, he's dedicated to his family and not to you. You gotta be committed. Yeah, Going Green. Thanks for joining. Anybody did. I know I didn't advertise it a ton. So whoever found it, you're amazing. Thanks for listening. Going Green.